being kept out of trouble. Just seeing Dylan Groenewegen coming up here in the yellow. He'll just wriggle his way across the peloton to find his teammates. Kern Bauman's been on the front for quite a while. Florian Stork has been pace setting for Sunweb. We were talking about Leo Hayter earlier, who's just signed for the Sunweb development team for next year. And Florian Stork is a great example of how that team has developed riders. He had a bit of a run out in 2016 with Team Sauerland, and then into the development team of Sunweb in 2017. Rode with them until the beginning of this year, then was moved up on the 26th of March this year, moved up to Team Sunweb on the World Tour. And that's what they can do with that development team, is bring those riders through, even in the middle of the season. If they see a rider's got particular ability, they might be taking massive leaps with the continental level development team, and all of a sudden they move them up. So Florian Stork, the German rider who you will have seen on the front of the peloton for many kilometers today, coming through that system. The Breakaway group just taking this gap out to a minute. They're holding this one. Flabrick Hill is the next target for that man there in the Skoda King of the Mountains jersey. Jacob Scott really is doing a solid performance this week for that jersey. It's stage 5 today. No King of the Mountains points on offer, of course, tomorrow. So he's safe in that jersey for another day. And then he's just got those final 2 days to manage now.
Yeah, looking good for him. And he's made the best ability that he's got today, trying to cement that. As we just see Movistar moving up on the right-hand side. One of the riders just waving in the air, just to point out to the riders further back that there is a roundabout coming up.
Nice bit of land art today. Good effort. There's a bit of a competition going on this week for the land art. So nicely done. Don't forget as well, over on the social media, on Twitter, is you can vote for your Wahooligan most combative rider. The Combativity Award is done on the Tour of Britain on their social media. So if you want to get on there and vote for that one, there's another bike there. So nicely done. Everyone getting into the spirit of things. And a little message for Brian Smith, and just reminding me as well of some of the Wirral riders, some of our fallen Wirral riders to mention as well would be Ray Eden. So thanks to Brian Smith for getting in touch. Jacob Scott on the front. 102 is our time gap for Jacob as well. He would know that he's got to bring this one back together through the King of the Mountains point here. Flabrick Hill. Category 3, 1.4 kilometers in length, average gradient of 4.2%. It does have some ramps of 12% on this climb for Jacob Scott. Looking at the way this stage is going, this could be the final one of the day, where he's still up there and managing to take maximum points in this one. We'll go through that finish line. The final summit today comes with 3.9 kilometers. We're going to go up this again. So this is the decisive climb here, isn't it, Rob? That they've looking at anyone who comes into this. We say the summit on the next lap comes with 3.9 to go. Rob Scott is just dropped off the back of the Breakaway. But if you fancy a charge at the end, a little jump at the end, this is your launch pad.
This is your dress rehearsal for the riders to spot the road. Just check exactly where to make your effort if they do decide to go on the effort, because it tops out at 33.9k on this section, on this lap. But then the next time up it, the next descent, tops out inside 4k to go, 3.9. So it could very well be decisive. Is it enough? Is it long enough? Is it steep enough? A lot of it depends on exactly how they ride up it.
It's fairly steady, but I mean, again, after a tough day like yesterday as well, the way this race is going, and maybe for those riders as well that don't fancy their time trial ability is as good as some, that this might be where they choose to try and steal 10 seconds perhaps. Then you've got that bonus seconds on the line as well, but that could give them the buffer to still be up there and challenging in the general classification.
Yep, you've got to keep yourself up there, and the time difference at the end of the race could all come down to those time bonuses.
Through the line, Skoda King of the Mountains leader Jacob Scott leads through there, takes more points in that one. So heading over the top of that, Vigneault takes second, Bostock takes third. We would say Rob Scott would still be up there to take that fourth place over the top. Corendon Circus for Van der Poel. You can just see him out of the saddle there in that green jersey. Jacob Scott just looking for our camera to go ahead. Looks for a bottle. It looks like it's job done now for Jacob Scott. He knows that it's going to be a tall order to still be out there with 3.9 kilometers to go. So he's looking for a drink. He's going to leave Vigneault and Bostock up here, and sensible. 33k to go. It's 33. He can see from the gap that this isn't going to go to the finish. That's 33 kilometers of energy saved for stage 7.
Yeah, he did. That said, when you get back into the peloton, it's still not necessarily easy, especially when you've got the fatigue of being out there all day from the word go. It's very stressful back in the peloton, but that said, he won't be fighting up towards the front. He'll drop into the back. He'll certainly have the benefit of more riders around him and have that slipstreaming, and the pressure will be off him. And I think he's done the best job that he could have today. Had it still been at 2.5 minutes, then you would have thought, well, he'll keep going and try and take the next maximum points. But he doesn't really have to panic, doesn't have to push on, because he's got himself a really nice buffer.
Down to 2, Bostock and Vigneault. These are the riders that have been up there the break of the day. We have just over 2 kilometers to the finish line. We'll go through the finish line in Birkenhead Park, but this opens this one up. This is the run-in towards the line, but there's 1 second if they catch Jacob Scott in the meantime. Even if they don't catch these two, there's still 1 second on offer here, isn't there?
There is that 1 second worth the stress involved, bearing in mind that we do have that climb. They will need to try and conserve everything they can for the climb. They've just been up. As we saw, it's not huge, but if you're on the back foot and you're starting to struggle, you could lose time there.
You could indeed. So again, this again gives you that run-in. And looking on that's the tight run in towards the line. Rob Scott is just coming back here. Just backed off a little bit on that climb, and he's now coming back up to the breakaway group. So again, the bonus seconds would all be swept up by this group. 1 kilometer to the final intermediate sprint of the day. 30.1 kilometers on the finish line, Birkenhead Park in Wirral. And these two riders, you will bet, will just ride through here. The peloton now comes through the gate. EF Education first are getting themselves up there. And Simon Clark sits 4th overall at 14 seconds. This is the run-in towards the line. There's 500 meters to go, so this gives us a good view now, Rob, of the run-in towards the finish in 1 lap's time.
Yep, and the riders will be looking, checking this, just making sure 300 meters to go, and we've got that bend coming up now. 200 meters. Can they see the finish line just yet? Should be coming round in view any minute.
Matt Bostock leading through, just over 30 kilometers to go, 1 lap to go. Bostock takes maximum points there in the Iceberg Sprints competition. So Bostock from Vigneault. Scott sweeps up 1. So that means that there's no seconds now on offer to the peloton behind. Sweep now out of the park. And around for the next loop here. So the peloton will exit the park very soon. We'll see them going through the finish line. There's Jacob Scott from the aerial shot. Jacob Scott is swept up by the Corridon Circus-led Peloton. And that run up towards the line. This is a good here. You get the aerial shot here. Just you can see where it sweeps round and opens up just before the finish. You can see the trees just being buffeted by the wind there. And again, Rob, this gives you the riders here an opportunity to just gauge which, as that finish sweeps around like this, where do you want to be? Tight on the barriers or coming around the outside?
Yeah, well, here, normally you would think, well, take the inside run. If you've got the inside on the left hand, if you're lead out man, you've got a lead out man inside the last couple of 100 meters, he then peels off to the right hand side, moving riders out. If they want to come round your sprinter, they've got to go the long way round. You push them the long distance.
We are through the line with 1 lap to go. Will we have any attacks on this final loop before we return to Birkenhead Park, or will we have a big bunch sprint? Corridon Circus for Mathieu van der Poel. Does he fancy his chances on Flaybrick Hill to come? You just see the riders just indicating to each other here. EF Education first. Quite noticeable by their presence at the front, EF Education first. Maybe Clark fancies his chance up Flaybrick Hill.
It's possible. He was thereabouts yesterday. He's good on GC. 4th on general classification.
Sebastian Langefeld is with him. Confirmation of the King of the Mountains to Cat 3. Jacob Scott takes maximum points, building quite an advantage now. Takes that from Vigneault, Bostock and Scott. So another good day out for Jacob Scott. Dries de Bont, Otto Vergade are up there for Mathieu van der Poel. Final intermediate sprint of the day. Matt Bostock takes that to defend for Rory Townsend. 3 points for him. Vigneault takes 2. Rob Scott takes that 1 point. Welcome to Wirral Waters. There's the sign there. These 2 riders pressing on with this one, and they've pulled out nearly a minute and a half now, Rob.
It is. It's going out, isn't it, now? And it just adds a little bit more pressure to the peloton. Rob Scott being able to quite make it back on. And it's quite technical here in places. But we can see now, well, Mitchelton Scott starting to move themselves up. That rider just in behind the yellow and black riders in the blue. That's Matteo Trentin. And he's looking to try and out-sprint if he can. Van der Poel in the green jersey, sat up there in 3rd position at the moment.
He's indeed seeing some Madison Genesis riders getting themselves up towards the front of this one. Back to our 2 leaders, and they've done the right thing, as we say. When you get to that point, you've got to gas again. Open the power. Try and get clear, and they've added another over half minute to their advantage since they shed Jacob Scott and Rob Scott. They're down to 2. So 2 animated riders. So the peloton again, they've got to be a little bit mindful now at this point, haven't they? Because you can see the 2 riders at the front have upped the pace. If they can steal again another 20 seconds, perhaps they're going to have to get a handle on this one quite quickly, just to make sure that they don't pull out 2 minutes.
Yeah, they won't want it to get too far, but they're relatively happy at the moment. I think 26k to go, well within the calculation of being able to bring them back. If you look at distance left and time, that the advantage of the break, and the fact that there are only 4 riders now. If you had a break of 6 to 8 guys today, and you still had 6 of them at this point, then you might start to get a little bit worried. But the fact that there are just the 2 of them as it stands, then they should be a lot more confident that they'll be able to bring them back as and when they decide. Corridon Circus, they're probably not that bothered. In fact, it will help, actually, if these two can stay away and take the victory, because what it will mean is the bigger time bonuses should very well be mopped up. That, unless they think that that Van der Poel is good enough to actually take the sprint.
Looking at where these guys are overall, I don't know about you, but if you were calling the shots behind, thinking about the days to come, you could potentially say to the guys here from Corendon Circus, do you know what?
Let it go.
Just let it go.
Yeah,
you could give them 4 minutes here.
Yeah, let it go and wait for the sprinters teams. It's up to them. It's up to the likes of Jumbo-Visma, and they've been doing most of the work up to this point. Dimension Data just starting to move up, and now Ineos as well with Ben Swift.
Heading towards 25 kilometers to go, 1:36 back from our two leaders now. We've got Vinjebo and Bostock, Rewell, Readiness and Canyon DHB at the head of the race. This being controlled by the team of Mathieu Van der Poel behind. These two riders have managed to pull out an advantage. The gap was under a minute. It's back up to 1:41. 25 kilometers of the stage remaining. Corendon Circus, there's the team of Mathieu Van der Poel. And Rob, we were just saying as well that they could potentially let this go. This, to me, looks like Van der Poel fancies maybe trying to jump away and take some more time from Trentin on the final climb of the day of Flaybrick Hill.
Yeah. Because the thing is, if he's got a couple of riders within around about a minute or so, if he does decide to go on the offensive, does go on the attack, and he gets a gap, he's got that carrot to chase. He's got more vehicles ahead of him, which is always an ideal situation when you're looking at slipstreaming. Just wondering if the climb, having seen it now, I'm wondering if it is actually hard enough. He will have to go so deep on that climb and potentially have his teammates lead him out onto that. But I think we will see as they get on it. Let's not forget it tops out at just 3.9 kilometers to go, so they've got a little bit of a way to go before we get that opportunity to see exactly how it evolves.
We have 10, 6 and 4 bonus seconds on the line. I think Corendon Circus here should play the long game. They've got the time trial tomorrow. Save the guys' legs for days 7 and 8. Tomorrow's the time trial, 14.4K. It's a day off for them. They just got to, they can't
get round,
sit back too far.
Active recovery. Yeah.
They've got to recover. But I would pull them out of the gap. See if they can give the Breakaway another half a minute, another 45 seconds, and just say to Jumbo-Visma here, it's up to you.
It's up to you. Well, we can see Cohen Bowman now back on the front. Mitchelton Scott still sat and waiting, but they are en masse. And Dylan Groenewegen just in there in the wheels as well.
Because if Trentin gets the stage, he takes 10 seconds. Even if Van der Poel finishes second, he loses the jersey.
Yeah,
because there's 10, 6 and 4 seconds.
Loses a little bit of time.
Our two leaders pressing on. They are making that peloton behind work hard for them. They are 1 minute and 31 seconds. They've taken back almost 15 seconds in the last couple of kilometers. Can Vinjebo and Bostock hang on? The blackboard there being shown 1 minute and 40 seconds. Remember, all of these time checks that they're given, whether they're coming through the riders' ears on their radios, from the director sportif, from the chalkboard at the side there, it's all little bits and pieces of information that will help motivate them. You can see Emil Vinjebo here just reaching around in his pockets, looking for those energy gels, get those last bits of food. Remember, in the sprint today, you're watching out for Matteo Trentin in that light blue Cetaville Points jersey rather than his Mitchelton Scott jersey. You can just see him behind the yellow and blue Swedish champions jersey there of Lucas Eriksson. Back up to the front. Rewell Readiness, a team that I think again, budget secure for next year, looking to try and build on that one. It's a good team, solid team, building a good solid program. Emil Vignebeau, to give you some info on him, he's 25. It's a stage of the Tour de Loire-Cher last season. He's had a busy year, was up there as well, took a 3rd place in Trobro-Lyon. Rob Scott's about to be caught by the Peloton. No wins so far this year for Vignebeau. The New Brighton lighthouse that we can see in the distance here. New Brighton setting for a number of major events throughout the year. The annual River Festival, the Festival of Light. And New Brighton once boasted Britain's tallest building, the 567 feet New Brighton Tower. And the largest Lido, both of which are now gone. New Brighton has undergone a major transformation in recent years with the new leisure development and significant makeover for the town's theatre, the Floral Pavilion, which presents lots of shows. There's a lot of development going into this part of the world, but back onto, again, the coastal roads here for these riders. And you can see straight away, Rob, when you get out of the exposed sections, that the shoulders starting to rock and roll. It just shows how windy it is up here on the coast.
Yeah, and it's coming across there. You can see, well, if the only protection they've got is the actual wind farm itself, then it's not giving much at all, is it? It'll be coming off the coast there across the right-hand shoulders. 1:17. It's an opportunity for riders and teams on the front of the peloton here. It's only a short section, this, but is it long enough and exposed enough to be able to do some sort of damage? I feel that when we go back to the peloton and see them 1:20 adrift of these two riders now, I think there will be a little bit of movement as teams try and get themselves up towards the front, and if they can and they feel the wind is strong enough, then, as you see, moving up onto the left-hand side of the road just to make it hard, close down any sort of protection for the teams behind, and Lotto Soudal it is who have taken up control at the moment.
You saw Bostock there just trying to dig in under the hip of Vignebeau, just trying to get a little bit of shelter if he could, but you can see just how hard they're having to work here. Bostock digging in. You can see how high he is up on the cassette there as well, and the gears that he's having to roll. But these are the points as well that teams will look on the program. They'll look at the wind maps. They'll see where the wind direction is coming. This is where they could try to splinter this one as we head towards the final 20 kilometers of today's stage.
Yeah, just wondering if the wind's a little bit too much in their face, maybe. If it is, the further round it swings on the right-hand side of the riders, the more it opens up for creating some damage. If it's too much in the face of the riders in front, then obviously the more riders behind they've got that much more protection.
We have indeed. The kilometres are now the wind here this afternoon. And you can see it's a fairly blustery day for them. Our two leaders, though, you can see have turned a little bit, starting to get the pace up here. The next target here will be the 20-kilometre to go point. And they're holding 1:12. The last two riders in our breakaway group sort of cross headwinds all the way along through that section before they turn back in towards the finish in Birkenhead Park. That's an impressive bit of land art on the grass there, heading along the coast here. But Emil Vignebeau and Matt Bostock. Bostock, the rider that was targeted by Canyon DHB to get into the breakaway. Little shake of the head there from Vignebeau. Looks like Bostock's just starting to struggle maybe a little bit here.
And that's the issue that you have. Just the two riders having to share the workload. Normally, if you can share it 50-50, then that's ideal. But it is just a little bit in the face of the riders. They've just changed a little bit of direction at the moment, And Vigneault not happy at all. But if you haven't got it, you haven't got it. That's the problem. It is frustrating. That's understandable.
Vigneault looking for the way to go here.
So having to send them the long way round there. And that could create an issue for the peloton. It's okay for the two riders, but for the peloton, they're going to have to be extremely careful and vigilant at that point.
They will indeed. So they're leading out here. Rasmus Iversen for Lotte Sudal on the front. The yellow jerseys for Dylan Groenewegen. Then you've got the Sunweb jerseys behind them for Cees Bol, Armand Grøndal Jansen in that Norwegian national champions jersey, well to the front here. That gap under 54 seconds now. So remember, we have the final climb of Fleabrook Hill, the summit of which will come with 3.9 kilometers to go. It's a decent little climb, but is it enough for someone to maybe use it as a launch pad to try and go clear? And,
and they've gone straight on. They've gone straight on, a couple of the riders, and that was the issue. We were expecting some sort of problems, but I didn't think that they would actually go off course there. And now you've got some riders who are caught in the traffic.
So the riders now will have to try and bounce their way across the centre there and get back into the right part there. It was unfortunate that that part of the roundabout was open and they've gone left here. So now just trying to find the gap back through the centre there. They're all back on course now, unfortunately, on that roundabout. As you said, Rob, it looked like it could pose a bit of a problem. And again, it's so quick. You're coming into these corners, you're trying to find your way through as quickly as you can, and that interrupts the chase for the riders at the front.
It does, because the riders who actually went off course, they went to the left of the roundabout, and rather than taking it all the way round to the right, obviously the exit was fully open. And that's the thing, when you're under duress, you're under that effort, and you just pick the clear bit of road. So now it's, well, the chase, it's just gone down a little bit, because it's not Jumbo-Visma, it's not Lotto Sudal on the front who want this to come down to a sprint. It's Corendon Circus, and now finally they start to get themselves regrouped on the front. Very frustrating for them.
Remy Merckx comes up here for Lotto Sudal, and that almost looked, as we were saying a few kilometres ago, Corendon Circus, they're just happy to this go. If those two riders take the first bonus seconds in those sprints, it keeps Mathieu van der Poel in that jersey, and you just see the riders here for Team Sunweb having to battle their way back up. Florian Stork trying to find his way back through towards the front. So again, just everyone looking around. Here comes Iversen, just getting himself back up towards the front. And again, it shows just how quickly these riders can get their way back through the peloton.
Yeah, they had to limit their losses there, didn't they? And it's a big effort to get yourself back. And there is the distance. Visually, that's what 55 seconds looks like at this pace.
And on long straight roads such as this, you can see those riders ahead of you. When you get down to a minute, just under a minute, you can see them. There's that carrot right in front of you.
Yep. So if you're into your time trialing and you're off chasing your minute man, that's what it would pretty much look like if you could see them down that straight road, just inside that minute 55. Stork now on the front for Sunweb. How much of the rhythm has been taken out of this chase?
Simon Clark in the pink there, of EF Education First, Dylan van Baarle alongside him. The EF Education First riders here are just keeping themselves within the distance here of Mathieu van der Poel. Simon Clark well up there in the general classification. This team that are here for EF Education First, they've got 4 riders. Tom Southern was telling us this morning that are heading towards the World Championships. Simon Clark is one. I think Daniel Kanger's the other. Sebastian Langefeld and Luis Villalobos for Mexico as well. So 4 riders out of the 6 for EF Education First are heading to the Yorkshire World Championships. 49 seconds there holding Vigneault and Bostock. We thought this might come back together early. They're holding this advantage. So our 4 breakaway group is down to 2. And it's up to Lotto Sudal and Sunweb. Van der Poel's content to just let them sit there. Ineos are well to the front as well. Dylan Van Baarle's up there. Mitchelton Scott for Matteo Trentin. They can leave it late today, can't they, Mitchelton Scott? They can just sit back and use all of that firepower to get Trentin into that position, rather than on previous days where they've had to do all of that work on the front. Used up 2 of those 6 early on in the day. Yeah,
when you look at the firepower that they have, the strength in depth that Mitchelton Scott have, and that's the thing, you see this gap and it's hanging there. It is coming down just a little bit, and you think, well, is it coming down quick enough? Well, they're fatiguing, obviously, the front riders. There will be a certain amount of cat and mouse if they do get close into the finish. But also when the fresher riders with the numerical advantage from behind here on the peloton really start and decide that now is the moment to drive this, then that time gap can just crumble and fall away to absolutely nothing.
For Lotto Soudal, Jasper de Boist is the rider that's been up there in the sprints this week on the flat, on the climbs. Yesterday he took 2nd place, and Florian Stork is now done. It leaves just Iversen up there for Lotto Soudal. Rasmus Iversen
pulled the ripcord there, parachute comes out, and bang, you go. The handbrake goes on, and that's the thing when you see how quick they go backwards, and this is the potential for these 2 riders, either of these 2. Once they start to go, then that's it. But now Lotto Soudal, as we see teams, you've got that real washing machine effect there on the left-hand side. You saw Mark Cavendish with his head up, straight arms, just giving himself the best view he can of the riders in front, just to get his position right, and his teammates from Dimension Data up towards the front for him. And
we heard from Mark Cavendish earlier, didn't we? And he seemed quite. He's been enjoying the weather, and we're waiting. All his fans are here along the road, and if he could get into a sprint winning position, it would be, I'm sure a lot of people would be very happy.
There'd be an awful lot of people happy with that. But it's a big task for him, a real battle. But he's a sprinter, he's got the team, and you've got to set him up and give him the best of the ability.
I'm sure you will. It would be a huge roar across the line if he can make it. Van der Poel is defending here. He's got to watch out for those attacks potentially coming on that final climb. These 2 riders are doing a great job here, trying to stay away. The gap, though, is down to 36 seconds. Van der Poel's put a teammate up here now. You can see Movistar are well in line as well. So Van der Poel, again, there's a communication going on here. They can see it's going to come back. Maybe when it was 1.5 minutes, if they could have just held them out there at that. Now he's just adding someone into the chase. They've seen that Florian Stork, after being on the front, went the wrong way, had to get back up. Maybe that took maybe a few kilometers out of the legs of Florian Stork. But now Van der Poel changes it again, adds a man into the chase.
Yeah,
because it's 2 against 1 at the moment.
It is. But the thing is, the one rider at the back who's doing the chasing, he doesn't have to commit and go all the way to the actual finish. He can distribute his effort in a much smaller distance, and then he knows that as soon as he swings off, there'll be other riders, fresher riders, in the wheels coming behind.
Will anyone try a jump before the finish? Is it going to come down to a bunch sprint in Birkenhead Park? We have 13.5 kilometers to go. The gap is holding at 27 seconds. You have 1 rider on the front here for Lotto Soudal, and they're just swapping through and off with 1 member of Mathieu van der Poel's Corendon Circus team, the team of our green jersey wearer, the overall leader here in the Tour of Britain, Matteo Trentin, in that light blue jersey. He's right in the pack of his Mitchelton Scott teammate. Sebastian Langefeld for EF Education First is right on the back of the train there to the front, and Emile Vignebeau definitely the powerhouse in this breakaway now. Iversen on the front, really driving this one. Here come Team Sunweb in the red. And Mitchelton Scott there. Let's have a look around at the front of this one. EF Education First. Let's not forget Sasha Modolo as well, the Italian sprinter. Dylan Groenewegen Jumbo-Visma team. They will again try and leave this one late. They've had Kern Baumann up there early on in the stage. So he's used up for Jumbo-Visma. They lost Pascal Incorn yesterday, who abandoned on stage 4. So they're quite limited now. Pascal Incorn was a real driving force in defending the leads and that lead out. Hence why we're now seeing Jumbo-Visma just taking a little bit longer. They'll wait a lot longer in this lead out because they've, as we said, they've lost Baumann and they're just now down to Armand Grøndal Jansen, Mike Turnesen, and Jos van Emden.
Well, that's a problem for a team when you're limited on numbers. When you're only starting with 6 riders anyway, and then you lose someone from your lead-out train. That's a big percentage that you're missing out on.
The Peloton have Emil Vinjebo and Matt Bostock in their sight. Rival Readiness, Canyon DHB Blue Homes, the team in the blue. Bostock heading out there for his team today, is defended nicely for his teammate in the red Iceberg Sprints jersey, Rory Townsend, who took a bit of a tumble a little while ago, and followed not long after by Steve Cummings.
Yep, not sure if Steve Cummings is back in the peloton. It didn't look good at the time, and the trouble was just after he went down, the local rider from this area for Dimension Data, Hammer was really down on the coastal road. But Otto Sudal, well, they won't be worried about any of that. It's not one of their riders. It's all about the race ahead of them. And 22, it's holding, but well within sight.
Looking around our other teams, Chimolai has been sprinting well this week as well. The light blue and white colours there of the Israel Cycling Academy. Davide Chimolai, could he get it right today? Here come the team of Madison Genesis up towards the front as well.
Yeah, Matt Holmes from Madison Genesis just in the wheel. Katusha and Ineos just starting to move up.
Into the circuit here, and Vinjebo out of the saddle on the front, just 18 seconds. They're just leaving them out there. Are Ineos going to get up here and into the chase? Here come Katusha Alpecin. Here come Dimension Data. They're looking around here for Mark Cavendish. Let's have a look there for Dimension Data. There they are in the green and white. So Cavendish is being brought up towards the front. Alex Dowsett in the centre, and again, as we were saying a little bit earlier on, Rob, with Russ, there's only so much road to fit so many lead-out trains here.
Yeah, on these narrower roads, it's difficult. Jens de Bucherer they'll be looking after. Dowsett trying to protect him as much as he can. Israeli Cycling Academy up on the left, but you can see the green helmets. I could just see Mark Cavendish just popping out there.
There's Mark Cavendish there wearing number 61. You can see him in that green and white jersey. Ben Swift you can see there as well. Don't forget Ben Swift today in that white jersey with the red, white and blue bands as the British national champion. So there is Cavendish. He's got the lead out riders all around him. And, Madison Genesis through to the front here. Niels Pollitt getting up there for Katusha Alpecin. 10 kilometers to go. Our breakaway group holding 19 seconds here. Flick of the elbow by Emil Vinjebo with Matt Bostock. They're looking to try and hang on for as long as possible on the stage today. Madison Genesis with Katusha Alpecin are at the front. Corendon Circus up here. And at this position, John Dibben, the rider on the front here for Madison Genesis. They're on the front a little bit early for me. If they want to try and lead out, they don't have. They can hand this responsibility over to the Mitchelton Scots and the Jumbo Vismas to have them up here. They're a little bit far out here, Madison Genesis. I would leave this power late.
But it looks like there's a nice tempo being set. John Dibben, big, strong, powerful ruler, and it looks like he's just kind of tapping it over at the moment. Dowsett just sat in the wheel. They've got the position. That's the key thing. But yeah, what they don't want to do is really absolutely empty it.
Vinjebo jumps Bostock, clearly going for the combativity award here this afternoon. So Vinjebo decides that Bostock is better off on his own here. So attacks Bostock, not able to stay with him. So the Rival Readiness rider goes off on his own. 9 kilometers remaining. It would be a tall order to hold off the charging peloton at that pace. Dibben has a little look around here for Madison Genesis. They're trying to keep their sprinters up towards the front. There's Matt Holmes. You can see they're trying to keep him into a position. Langerfeld in the pink in the center of your picture. The camera angle here, the front shot just foreshortens that angle very short, slightly, but it has a glance over. This is it. One last ditch effort for Emil Vignebaud.
Yep, well, he's committed to this. And he doesn't have any cat and mouse to play. All it is, it's about that even distribution, that delivery of whatever power he has got, whatever is in his legs. He's just got to measure that out between here and the finish. 8.4K to go, but let's not forget we do have that drag. It is that short drag, 1.4K, 4.2% average of Flaybrick Hill that tops out with 3.9K to go. And that is where, if he does start to struggle, which he will do, he's really got to watch out for that, and I think that's where the time will really fall back if he is still out there at that point. But with 13 seconds to go, depending on which sprinters teams decide to take it up, because Corendon Circus, well, they're riding tempo, but they don't have to really drive it. It's more about holding their position at the front of the peloton.
It is, and you can see him just constantly looking back over the shoulder. You've got to do what Alex Dowsett did the other day, and what Alex Dowsett said, you just got to go and you can't look back. He's just folding the hands into the center of the bars here, trying to make himself as aero as possible. There's the peloton. They're just hunting him down now. 9 seconds he is still holding, but gutsy effort nonetheless by this man out there all day in the breakaway group with Jake Scott, Rob Scott, and Matt Bostock now down to 1. Van der Poel finds his way through here. He's just wrestling his way up towards the front. And Jim Brown is in there as well, the Great Britain national team rider, who's well up there. Connor Dunn is bringing the Israel Cycling Academy team rider, Davide Chimolai, keeping him into a strong position.
7 seconds down to single figures, single digits, well within sight, and it's going to be difficult now. 1 second per kilometre, that's the advantage that he's got, and that's not enough, I'm afraid.
Okay, just inside 7K to go. Rob Hales is going to nip off and do our post-race interview with our winner. Russ Downing is joining me in the commentary box to take us through the sprint finish. Through the centre, Van der Poel's teammates bringing him up towards the front. Russ Vignebaud, this is all he could do here, wasn't it? Bostock was starting to tire. One last-ditch effort.
Yeah, it was do or die there. You can see it's very windy out there, and he's just trying to grind it out, and yeah, he should just give up now. But yeah, what an effort.
It is. It's almost game over, and you just see the riders there. Connor Swift just directing everyone around there. They all the lead-out trains just have a glance back here just to make sure that they've got everyone safely through. Movistar starting to move up towards the front now. We've got this final climb here, Russ. If they keep this tempo, do you think Van der Poel, anyone might try something on this final climb? The last time around, do you think it's steep enough?
I don't think it's steep enough. It is going to be very stretched out, so it's all going to be for positioning on this climb and not really distancing your other riders. It's just going to be for positioning and hold the wheel, really.
Eddie Dunbar moving up on the left there for Ineos. Having a look at the finish as well. How would you be judging this one? We've got a tight right-hander as we come in towards the park as well.
Yeah, you need to be right up there in the top 10 and have at least 2 guys in front of you before the final, or I think it's going to be a headwind as well. So you're not going to want to hit out early, or you're going to get taken from behind.
And we've got it sweeps round to the left. You see the finish line very late. So where would you be looking to go? Are you trying to take it tight on the left? Could take a fly around the outside?
Yeah, probably tight on the left and then just cut the corner straight and go to the right hand side, but not too much, because the commissaires might be on you.
Trying to make that as tight as possible. Jasper de Bois, you can see there for Lotte Soudal in the red and white. Van der Poel's teammates are on the front. They've defended this jersey well. Remember, 10, 6 and 4 bonus seconds are on the line for the winner today. 5 kilometers to go. We're running back in towards Birkenhead Park. as they start the King of the Mountains, the final one of the day, Flaybrick Hill, Category 3, 1.4 kilometers in length, average gradient of 4.2%. The British national team come through towards the front. Freeze on, the man that took Van der Poel clear on the opening day, jumps clear here. So Freeze on, trying to rip this race apart again. So Van der Poel's teammates react. He's right on the wheel. And you see the Israel Cycling Academy team riders just trying to react. Trentin moving up towards the front. Freeze on, big attack there.
Yeah, I don't think any riders are actually going away, but look at the faces, and yeah, there's some pain in there, and yeah, he's looking tough. Van der Poel's looking, yeah, amazing.
Van der Poel looking comfortable here in the wheels of his teammates. They're just keeping this pace super high here just to make sure that no one can try and jump clear. Freeze on really didn't get anything. We're seeing a Team Ineos jersey move there, and away they go as this Gianni Moscon that's making the move off the front. So the big attacks go in here from Team Ineos. And Chimolai right on the wheel here. Chimolai just latching into the wheel. Chimolai's doing the right thing, giving himself plenty of drift room here.
Yeah, 10th wheel back, you can see they're all just holding the wheel. So, yeah, it's really tough here.
And again, through to the front, the teammates. Here goes Teish Benoot. Is Teish Benoot going to have a go? The Lotto Sudal rider comes through. So the sprinters, you can see, the Chimolai, Tom Van Asbroek, all up towards the front just to make sure that they're into the right position. Teish Benoot takes the maximum points at the top of the climb, just ahead of Gianni Moscon.
You see Van der Poel's actually having to close the gap here on himself. He's lost all his teammates, so he's come back to him now.
Chimolai's there, Teish Benoot just had a little go. Jasper de Boist in here. Now Clark, is this Simon Clark that's going to have a go over the top of the climb? The EF Education first rider now goes on the attack. Everyone starts to look around at each other. This is a good move now by the Aussie. They have a glance back over the shoulders at Amador. That's down on the shoulders, down on the bars now. 3.1 kilometers to go. It's Mitchelton Scott that are starting to drag this one back. They know that they can't let Simon Clark ride clear. The Aussie went into the stage, 4th overall at 14 seconds. It's Luke Durbridge that does the damage and pulls him back. Connor Swift for Great Britain is up there. You can see in the Great Britain national team jerseys, they fancy their chances of the sprint today. They swing right here. Sunweb coming up on the outside of this one, but Simon Clark, easier said than done, but maybe just a little bit further down the climb, he might have stood a chance of getting away.
Yeah, you can see Swift is just slotting in here behind Team GB, so yeah, he's getting a lead out from the GB boys.
Ben Swift, you can see Edmondson's having a look around. Edmondson left and right with Langerfeld right behind him. He's shouting into his radio just to check where Matteo Trentin is. Ben Swift right up onto the wheels of the young Great Britain team. He was here as a member of the Great Britain national team last year, wasn't he, Ben Swift? And he said as the elder statesman of the team, he learnt plenty of new words last year from the youngsters.
Yeah, you can see Bernie Isley is looking back to see where Cavendish is, and I don't think Cav's quite up there at the front at this moment.
Inside the final 2K, we're into Birkenhead Park now. The right turn. Now the sprint lead-out trains will start. Luke Durbridge with Connor Swift right on the wheel. Simon Clark keeping himself well up towards the front. Looking a little further down the lead-outs now. You've got Mitchelton Scott with Matteo Trentin right there. Where is the green jersey of Mathieu Van der Poel? Here come more of the yellow and black jerseys. Alex Edmondson now moves up. Durbridge is done. Case Bowl coming up onto the wheels of his teammates. Where is Dylan Groenewegen, importantly as well? Mike Turnerson, there's Groenewegen. We can see him very much to the front. Teish Benoot now moves through on the outside. And this group, you can see the pressure right on here.
Yeah, there's some bumping and banging on here. People are trying to find the wheel, stay on the wheel, and yeah, it's looking very tight.
It is indeed. Now the charge comes round the outside. They've been through here once already. 1 kilometre to go now, up towards the line. Armand Grøndal Jansen hits the front. So for Sunweb, and they just get a little push there from the Sunweb train. Armand Grøndal Jansen, Norwegian champion. There's Dylan Groenewegen. He's right on the wheels of his teammate Sunweb, though, looking to try and set this one up for Case Bowl. Can Dylan Groenewegen make it a hat-trick of victories here? They're just moving tight onto the barriers now. Team Sunweb have controlled this race as well beautifully today. Groenewegen's team. Mike Turnison now takes off. Groenewegen's on the wheel. Chimolai is 2 wheels back now from Dylan Groenewegen. Now they launch for the sprint for the line. Here comes Lotte Sudal. Ben Swift getting up there. 200 meters to go. And Groenewegen now hits the front. Dylan Groenewegen, the challenge coming in here from the Great Britain national team. Trentin moves up, but Dylan Groenewegen takes the stage. Groenewegen takes that. Van der Poel a little further back. But importantly, Matteo Trentin, did he take third?
Yeah, looking close there, wasn't it? The Groenewegen he was in perfect position. He was waiting, and yeah, he took the victory.
10, 6 and 4 bonus seconds, remember, on the line. Van der Poel was a little bit further back there. And again, Jumbo-Visma perfectly executed lead out. We didn't see them all day there, pretty much. Koen Bouwman was on the front, did that little job, but then on those final kilometers, that run up towards the finish, and yeah, great job by them.
They kind of got taken to the front with Sunweb there, and yeah, he boxed really smart there, definitely.
So I'm hearing on my ears that Matteo Trentin has taken third, so 4 seconds. So that will put Matteo Trentin back into the leader's jersey. Russ, just take us through this sprint.
Like I said, Sunweb have delivered him really good there, and then the lead out starts, what is it, 150 meters to go, and the guys from behind, they cannot move forward. They've been battling on for a good kilometre here, so Groenewegen just got the jump on him, and he was drag racing to the line. So there you go. There's the start of the lead out.
Great move there by Turnison. What a phenomenal, just sat down there and shifted through the gears again. As you say, maybe a little bit of headwind, and exactly, you called it right there, Russ. Tight onto the barriers and come out of there, and then straight down the middle of the road.
That's exactly how I said it earlier. You know, you just got to keep focused. You can only look over one shoulder, chop the corner, you take the shortest route, and yeah, I don't think there's, like I said, not too sudden movement, but yeah, it's just. It's a clear victory.
Matt Walls getting himself in there. That's a fantastic performance there for Matt Walls as well.
Yeah, we was the other day, 8th and 9th. I was in the top 10 the other day, but yeah, what a rider there from Matt. He's been showing some great form on the track, and yeah, he's just converting it into sprinting on the road, which is, yeah, it's great to see.
And this for him as well, for Matt Walls to be this close to Dylan Groenewegen, Case Bowl, Matteo Trentin. These are the sort of performances as well that start to make those big World Tour teams just start to sit up and take notice of you. We always say for those riders, this is their shop window, and as soon as a team sees someone that can challenge Dylan Groenewegen in a sprint like this, your stock just goes through the roof.
Yeah, he put a great advert in the window there, didn't he? And like I said, it was a hard sprint there. I think it was a headwind, and that's what I say, you had to be in the wheels, and you couldn't really move forward yourself. You just had to sit down and deliver the power.
Dylan Groenewegen heading down towards the podium. The 21-year-old Brit getting up there in second place, but again, today, the sprint there for Matteo Trentin. That man there, Mathieu van der Poel, he said this morning in his pre-race interview that pound for pound in the sprints against Matteo Trentin, he felt that the Italian had the power over him in the sprints. So the stage result, there you have it. There's confirmation. Dylan Groenewegen takes his third stage. Matt Walls takes second. Matteo Trentin, importantly, in third. Case Bowl, Davide Chimolai, Jasper de Bus, Ben Swift, Tom van Asbroek, Eduardo Effini, and Mark Cavendish gets himself in there in 10th.
Yeah, it's good to see. You know, Mark was in the mix there. He wasn't quite in the right position. Bernard Eisel was looking back for him, but he managed to fight his way to the front, and yeah, top 10. It's good to see Mark back in the top 10.
It is indeed. Matteo Trentin takes 4 bonus seconds in third. Great sprint finish there. Corendon Circus Russ, you would say perhaps on the run in towards the finish, when that breakaway and they were controlling it and they were working hard, again, we were saying on the run in, they could have let that go, potentially. Let that gap go out and out and out and try. Again, it's easier said than done sitting here and in hindsight, but maybe for Corendon Circus, they could have just let that breakaway ride away today.
Yeah, maybe they could, but they didn't. And you could see when they went up onto the coast up there, it was very, very windy. I think it was head crosswind, so they were using all their energy there, and it showed at the top of the climb. Van der Poel had to close a gap from like 5th to 6th wheel, and maybe that just stung him for the final sprint.
When you have to make that effort like that, when you're in that position, because you've got to make that immediate calculation in your head, how much does it actually take out of the legs in terms of when you come in to the sprint, when you try to make that stage-winning effort? Yeah,
like I said, that could have been his sprint right there on the top of the climb. He had to squeeze it, and see the faces on people. They were in pain.
We're in the final 2K here, tight through there for Mitchelton Scott as well, for Luke Durbridge. For Matt Walls as well, Connor Swift up here. The Great Britain team did a great lead out for Matt Walls as well.
Yeah, they were great there. Look, they've got 3 guys there, and Connor's doing a great job of holding the wheel there. And Matt Walls, he picked the right wheel, and yeah, he did a great ride in second.
These guys as well, the Great Britain riders, we know them from watching them on the track. They grow up a lot of the time. We watch them at Manchester. We used to see them in things like the Revolution, Future Stars. We saw Matt Walls and Jim Brown and these sort of riders in there, and growing up on the track and having that track background, and you just see him bumping off the Sunweb riders there. And again, as a young rider, you know, that's a lot of confidence to fight to hold that position.
Yeah, if you're on the front here with 1K to go, 1.2K to go, you deserve to have a bit of respect. And he just slightly moved him out of the way, and yeah, that's what you got to do, you know. He's not just bumping and banging for no reason. He's doing a job.
Little bump on the hip there as well from the Sunweb rider to Armand Grøndal Jansen. He just came in a little bit. He felt a bit tight on that lead out. But Sunweb did a great job here to try and lead out for Cees Bol. Cees Bol, again, the cadence of Cees Bol, and they would have checked this out and been mindful of where the wind was coming from on the previous lap. But yeah, just got a little bit boxed on his lead out man there, Cees Bol.
Yeah, you see, he was trying to keep his gears low to save his legs, but he's just ran out of cadence, really.
And he had to come wide around Mike Turnison there as well after that lead out. Again, it's leaving it late, isn't it? That on this sort of finish, he left that very, very late to come off. As soon as they went, you could see it here. They went tight left into that bend, and he just left it just a fraction of a second. As soon as Mike Turnison moved, Cees Bol's stage win was gone.
It was done. He was going backwards. He didn't even see him go, and he's still in smaller gear. You can see that he's on the power, and he's trying to relax. So he's got gaps straight away. And then yeah, he got slightly squeezed out. And I said Matt was there just on Groenewegen and looking. He's fighting to hold the wheel, which is a great ride.
And Bol there having to come the long way round that. Again, you could see. Once Turnison was gone, as you said, he was still in the small gears. He had to sit down again. He had to shift up through the gears. You know, it's anticipation as a sprinter, isn't it? You've got to anticipate. It's trying to anticipate that rush. You have that sixth sense a lot of the time, don't you?
Yeah, and it's about actually delivering the power. And he never got on top of the gear that he was trying to save his legs for. And yeah, he didn't quite get it.
They have the aerial shots here of Birkenhead Park. Great venue that we have had today. It's played host to the start and finish of today's stage, which we've had a couple of times. We had that in Kelsey. And we'll have the time trial tomorrow. Our aerial shots here of Birkenhead Park. This is the general classification going into stage 5 tomorrow. Matteo Trentin, by virtue of those bonus seconds, is now back into the race lead by 3 seconds ahead of Matthew van der Poel. 10 to De Boist. We have Clark, Turnison, Swift, Amador, Grendel, Janssen, Pollitt and Sivakov, but now 22 seconds separating that top 10. Let's go down and hear from Matteo Trentin right now.
So, Matteo, congratulations, third place today, but more importantly for you, I'd guess, back in the green jersey.
Yeah, back there, and luckily for my guys, they don't have to ride tomorrow because it's time trial day, so they just need to do a hard time trial.
And it's perfect for them. They can have an active recovery day. But for you, the likes of Mathieu van der Poel, how do you consider yourself in the time trial against a rider like him with the form that he has at the moment?
Actually, with him, you can guess he's going to be good also there. Nobody knows how he's going to go on a time trial, but I'm kind of guessing he's going to be good.
And how is the morale at the moment? The team seem to be riding well. You had a bit of a day off today in terms of the workload that you had to do. Sat back and you just waited and bided your time till the last minute?
Yeah, that was the plan. Actually, the guys rode amazingly the last couple of days, and they deserve a rest. They need a rest because, as I say in the beginning of this tour, it doesn't give you one single day of breathing. So when you have the jersey, it's an extra loading of work to support. And you see also Corendon today. They had to do that because they need to keep the jersey, or actually they don't want to do it. Sorry for my English. They don't want the jersey going away that easy. Yeah. Now let's see. Time trial for me is going to be more a kind of defense because I've never been that good into that exercise. But I have a good lead, so hoping that Van der Poel is not as yesterday in the time trial also. So I think it's going to be a good day.
Well done so far, and good luck for the time trial tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Matteo Trentin, it is a bit of an unknown for him, isn't it? As he said, he's not the strongest time trialist, and again, is seeing how Van der Poel is against the watch tomorrow. But it's a shorter effort.
Yeah, time trialing in a stage race is totally different to a normal time trial. So yeah, Trentin, he's got the kilometres in the bank, in the tank, call it what you wish. So I think he will be able to probably match Van der Poel tomorrow, and it's going to be a good one.
There's something again about riding a time trial leader's jersey as well, isn't there? Matthew van der Poel, and Matteo Trentin. You just see the flags flying here for Trentin. It just elevates you, doesn't it? You've been in a race leader's jersey many times in a stage race. Does it just give you that extra little bit?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say it's just that little bit of confidence to maybe squeeze that other little percentage out that you'd normally think, oh, am I good enough at this TTing? But yeah, it's just that little bit that you need to
Let's go down and hear from our stage winner again. Rob Houses with Dylan Groenewegen.
Dylan Groenewegen, 3 stage wins so far. I guess morale in the team is pretty good at the moment.
Yeah, of course, but yeah, the legs are not so good today, but the team effort was really good. So yeah, we're riding the whole day on the front, and yeah, on the final there was a perfect lead out. So yeah, I can win the stage, and I'm very happy with that, and yeah, it's good for the team and also for me.
We were saying in commentary earlier that it was all about you today, certainly on paper. Koen Bouwman on the front very early on, along with Corendon Circus. How much of an effect does it have losing one rider that you're obviously a rider down in the team? Does that add much more pressure on a day like today?
Yeah, of course. We have now 5 riders. Yeah, one rider in the front with Koen. Yeah, then you have 4 riders for the final. Yeah, that was hard. Also with the small climb on the end, but. Yeah, we are a little bit far on the climb, but then we're moving up. And yeah, it was on the right moment, and it was a good lead out, so yeah, I'm really happy with that.
Well, huge congratulations yet again.
Thank you.
Dylan Groenewegen, what a rider. 3 stage victories already. Can he pick up more as the week goes on? Matteo Trentin crossing the line there in 3rd place. There's Groenewegen crossing the line. And that rider there from the Great Britain national team, Matt Walls, a big performance by him. What a lead out again from Mike Turnison. He just opened the door and let his sprinter through. And Dylan Groenewegen delivers yet again. What a stage. The weather has delivered a beautiful stage here so far. The weather has been so kind to us this week, hasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't nice this morning as the team trucks and the riders came in, but yeah, it blew over, and yeah, it was quite warm out there in the end.
It was indeed, and a great stage as we went round. You could see again another very historic part of the country. Some big cycling stars out there. We've had the news as well, unfortunately, that Steve Cummings has had to retire from the race. That's a big blow for him and the team today.
Yeah, it was not nice seeing Steve on the ground there, and he didn't look in good shape. But yeah, he's had to go to hospital just to get checked out. But yeah, we wish him well. We had a good catch up with him this morning, and yeah, it's not nice to crash in any stage, but on his home roads, it's pretty tough.
Yeah, tough day. We wish him well. The podium presentation is not far away. We're going to see some familiar faces on the podium today. But Dylan Groenewegen, it's tough to put that consistency into perspective, isn't it? To be winning day in, day out the way he does throughout the season.
I think, yeah, like we saw there, if you put him in the right spot, he will win. And that's what's happened. His team do an amazing job, and like you said, he just hits the gas at the right time, and it's what he did. He took the perfect line. So did his team. They kept it tight on the left, so they were not getting approached from anywhere else, and he went straight through the corner.
I mean, the sprinters of this generation, your Dylan Groenewegens, your Caleb Ewards. It's very much again this year, the last couple of years really, in terms of sprinting, a sort of changing of the guard from the Onde Greipels and your Mark Cavendish and those sort of riders.
Yeah, they're really, really punchy. You know, they don't leave it late, but when they do go, they're explosive.
And Elia Viviani as well, of course, multiple stage winner here in the Tour of Britain. Not here in the race this week, but European champion as well. And a lot of them, again, that track background that they come from, and dipping in and out of the track.
Yeah, he's having quite a good season.
Onto the podium, we're awaiting today's stage winners. And again, a change at the top of the proceedings.
Councillor Tony Smith, the Mayor of Wirral, accompanied by Abid.
Some great shots if you weren't with us this morning, as this was the world's first public park was Birkenhead Park, opened in 1847. So the design that influenced a lot of parks around the world, including Central Park in New York. This man, one of the most famous exports of the region, Chris Boardman, Olympic champion, yellow jersey wearer in the Tour de France, and I'm sure he was pleased to see the race go through Hoylake today.
Yeah, I had a quick catch up with him actually while I was on my lunch, and yeah, he was trying to look at the screen more than talking to me, really.
Your stage winner today, there he is for the third time this week, Dylan Groenewegen from Jumbo-Visma, winner of stage 5 of the OVO Energy Tour of Britain. And that is the coolest jersey I've seen in a while, cycling Wirral.
I think I'm going to put the sunglasses on. It's pretty bright, but yeah, that's just great, isn't it?
Cycling Wirral jersey and the trophy from Chris Boardman and Minnie Anderson. Your
little rainbow jersey there.
Today for the team of Jumbo-Visma, it's number 3,
Dylan Groenewegen. What a rider. What a season he is having. He's been winning all the way from the start of the season in Spain, through into Portugal, through Paris-Nice, 3 days of De Panne, into 4 days of Dunkirk. He won there. He was up there in the Hammer Series, a couple of stage wins in the ZLM Tour as well. Into the Tour de France, had a stage win there. It's hardly seen when you look through this year. It's hard to see where he hasn't won this year. Dylan Groenewegen has been on form throughout the season, all the way from February. It's been an amazing season for him, but another season for another great rider, Matteo Trentin. That third place finish today, those important 4 bonus seconds, takes that jersey back from Mathieu van der Poel and puts him in green with the time trial stage to come tomorrow. 14.4 kilometers in length. Can he defend that lead tomorrow? Let's see how he gets on in the time trial tomorrow. What's your gut feeling, Russ? Do you think he can defend it tomorrow?
Yeah, I think he can. He's in great shape, I think, and yeah, so that green jersey or green skin suit he's probably putting on tomorrow will be good for him.
Is for the Cetaphil points jersey leader. Please welcome to present this award on behalf of Cetaphil, Bellamy Rock.
And there you have it. There's the aerial shots of Birkenhead Park. We'll leave you with some great shots of the day. Some great pictures of today's stage, and it really has delivered again. That 4-man breakaway group getting clear, hanging on right down to that final lap. Matteo Trentin not just in the green jersey, but he's leading in the Cetaphil points jersey as well. And we will go back down to Matt Barbet and Janto Barker.
We now turn our attention to the Skoda King of the Mountains. Please welcome to make this award.
Marty, thanks very much indeed. Janto, we said on paper at the start there that it looked like a fairly routine stage, but actually the last 50 kilometers, they were nervy, weren't they?
Yeah, I think stage 5 when your cumulative fatigue is starting to catch up with a few riders, and you know, there's still a lot to concentrate on in the peloton, even if you're just riding steady, bollards, cars, you know, all sorts of things that are just there and thereabouts. You have to stay focused all the time.
We did say at the start of the day it was hard to look beyond this man for the stage win, Dylan Groenewegen, and so it came to pass, his 3rd stage win of this year's OVO Energy Tour of Britain. He just made it look, Janto, so easy yet again. He was delivered to the perfect spot by his lead-out man, Mike Turnison, who, let's not forget, has worn the yellow jersey at this year's Tour de France, and he just cruised across the line, arms in the air again.
Well, he does make it look easy, but it's not. And even, I was just listening then, he's talking about the climb right on the run into the finish was actually quite difficult for them, for Groenewegen, because he wasn't as far forward as he needed to be, and they slowly made their way back to the front. They're also missing one rider from their lead-out, so actually having to spread that resource across, you know, fewer guys. So really, Mike Turnison's doing a really sound job now, bringing him into the finish in the perfect position.
Yeah, they're missing Inkhorn, I think, who was a DNF after yesterday's stage. A DNF today, I'm afraid, is the local hero, Steve Cummings. So many high hopes for Steve coming into this stage. He grew up just a stone's throw from where we are in Birkenhead Park. But it wasn't to be, and I think we've got about, there you go, Steve-O. I'm afraid Steve has left the race. Sorry to be the bearer of bad tidings, but that's bike racing for you. He knows it better than anybody. He's had a few ups and downs in his career, and unfortunately, bad news today for Steve Cummings.
Yeah, it'll be really sad for him. You know, he is literally, I watched him come up down the start. He knows everybody here. They all know him, and they're all shouting his name. So, yeah, he'll be sorry, and hopefully, let's hope he's not too badly hurt.
Let's have a quick chat about GC before we go off the air. And Matteo Trentin only had a second to make up on Mathieu van der Poel. He managed that today. He's back in green.
Yeah, it's down to seconds. I did say this earlier, and it's going to be really close. 3 seconds is the gap now to Van der Poel. It's going to be all down to a time trial tomorrow to see who's the strongest.
Who's your money on being the better time trialist out of the two?
I think Trentin Van der Poel.
It's so hard. It's so hard. It's a very short time trial, only 9 miles. Will be live coverage on ITV4 of that tomorrow morning. Before that, though, got full highlights of today's stage 17 of the Vuelta with Gary Imlach and the team. That's at 7 o'clock here on ITV4. We'll be back with full highlights of stage 5 of the Tour of Britain at 8 o'clock. Join us then for that. Bye-bye for now.
Mark Cavendish. Give a slap on the back.
we vandaan gehoord.
Green race leader's jersey. Your new race leader for Mitchelton Scott, Matteo Trentin.
Okay. Birkenhead Park was the start and finish point for the Wirral stage of the 5th day on the OVO Energy Tour of Britain. 174.1 kilometers awaited as they headed out of the world's first ever public park, which opened in 1847. The city